I do have skills that make me a nightmare for people like you.
Hi.
Oh, yeah.
Interesting stuff. I went down to court.
Yeah.
And I went into a courtroom, this first one, door I came. Oh, when I walked in there, I turned to the left and I walked over there into a courtroom. And it was Lisa Tremorlane. And, what was her name? Anya, or whatever, that Indian woman?
Yeah. Divya.
Divya was the registrar.
Oh, was she?
And she kept,
Recognized you from last week.
She kept poking her head around the laptop, or, the screen, and looking at me. And then,
Hello.
I think...
By association, is it?
I think then what happened was a cop might have been asked to sort of come out of the courtroom, and then this male cop walked back in and talked to the woman sergeant in front of him. And then she came over to me, kind of anxious, and said...
Cop?
Yeah, female sergeant. And then she said, can you just come outside? She said, have you got something to do with this case? I said, I'm a member of the public. And she said, well, I just got to talk to you outside. And I said, well, what? She said, no, I just got to tell you outside. Then she went outside and she stood and she blocked the door. And she said, there's been a report, people are suspicious of you recording.
Really?
And I said, what people? What's the suspicion? And she said, you have to answer me. Are you recording? And I said, am I...
Wrong person to tell that to.
I said, am I detained? And she said, you have to tell me whether or not you're recording. And I said, am I free? And she said, well, yes, you're free. You can walk away, but you're not going back into that courtroom unless you tell me whether or not you're recording.
Are you shitting me?
I said, is that not a public gallery, and am I not a member of the public? Is that not open to the public? And she said, yes, but you can't go in there unless you tell me whether or not you're recording. Because the people are reporting that you are recording.
Without any grounds.
Yeah. So she said, you have to tell me whether... So if she had knows that I'm recording, then why is she needing to ask me whether I'm recording?
Yes, she wants you to.
So I said, well, I'd like to go back into that courtroom. And she said, no, you will not be going back into that courtroom unless you tell me you're recording.
She doesn't have the right to restrict you from access.
So she said, if you do go back into that courtroom, I will have the judge, what was she going to have the judge?
Proceedings?
Yeah, hold the proceedings, and you're going to disrupt an entire case all because you're recording.
She is doing that, not you, and she's got no grounds to say that, and you've never recorded.
And I said, so I can go back into that courtroom? And she said, no. So she changes it again. You see, they just keep changing the script to suit. So it wasn't that I could go back in, but they should have to tell the judge I'm recording. No. Then I wasn't allowed to go back in.
Oh my God.
And she was getting really, really anxious. And guess what? I didn't even have a cell phone with me. I had nothing with me.
Unbelievable.
So anyway, she said, well, you can walk away, but you're not going back in the courtroom. So she didn't even want to go in there and tell the judge that I was recording. So yeah, this all came... So I thought, okay, she was standing there, I was able to sort of reach for the handle, but she was making sure that there was no way, I wasn't going to push her, I wasn't going to force her, I wasn't going to, make her move.
She's breaching your freedom of movement by blocking your path.
Yeah, well, to me it was a public gallery, it was open to the public. I saw no reason why I couldn't gain access to the public gallery.
David, or a statement of claim that they know you're recording anything.
Well, I didn't even have a cell phone, I had nothing, so I knew I was in the clear.
You don't do it. That was beautiful. Yeah.
So anyway, she wasn't going to let me walk back in there. I mean, I thought, well, later on, when she goes back in, I could walk back in then. But so I walked away, and I went upstairs, and I walked straight into another courtroom. So on camera, they'd see me just walk away, straight into another courtroom. So I sat down there, and next thing, this woman registrar turns to the judge and says something about woman, white jacket, she's recording.
Oh my God, they are completely shit scared of us.
So the judge said, the woman in the white jacket, he said, are you recording this courtroom?
Mm.
And I sort of looked behind, and the woman behind me had a white and black jacket, and she said, what, me?
Yeah.
And they said, no, you in the white jacket, and are you recording? And so I stood up and I said, I was just downstairs in a courtroom. I was told someone had reported that I was suspicious that I was recording. And who is this person? And where lies the suspicion? And he said, you have to tell me whether you're recording. And I said, am I obligated to answer that question? And he said, well, if you can't answer a simple question, you are asked to leave the court.
Wow.
So I said, is that an order? And he said, you have been asked to leave the court.
It's a request.
And so then sort of a cop and a security guard came over and said, you've been ordered to leave the court. And I said, I haven't been ordered, but he just asked me. And he said you have to leave the court. The judge has said so. Oh. So anyway, I was sort of warned that, if we have to use force and put you in custody, you won't like it.
Unbelievable.
So I walked
violence.
I walked out of the courtroom, and there was this court security, and there was this cop, and then there was another female. Eventually, there was another female court security, and then there was another woman, and then there was this Chihuahua.
Oh, Chihuahua!
And it was the Chihuahua who sort of said, she's been ordered to leave. She has to leave the courthouse.
Court means
courthouse.
Building.
Yes, the whole court building. So anyway, I was sort of more talking to the cop, and he was just sort of saying, look, I don't know anything. Just the judge has ordered. And I said, well, can I have that in writing? No, the judge has done a verbal order.
Yeah.
I said, well, he just asked me. He hasn't ordered. I said, I've seen no order.
Yeah, a verbal direction, even like this did to us last Friday, even an oral direction must be in a minute.
Yeah, so, I mean...
so there's no minute supporting any direction.
Yeah, I think the judge may have even, moved down his bike, he's got a hand, it's on a bar thingy, and he sort of directed it downwards. So, anyway, I said, well, I'd like to see this in writing, because I've seen there's no written order. And they said, no, you've been ordered, it's an oral order by the judge, and you have to leave the court. Otherwise, we will have to use force, and you won't like it, and we will take you into custody, and you will be officially trespassed.
Unfucking believable.
So you have got to leave the building. And one guy reached out to take my elbow.
Yeah.
And then I thought, well, if I'm going to be physically manhandled, I'll,
you've got to the limit.
Out of coercion, I'll leave. So I went downstairs and
no one.
they opened the door and saw me right out the door. Sorry?
Did anybody actually ask you to leave the court?
Oh, I was told I had to leave the entire court building. I was I had to leave for the remainder of the day, but I could come back again tomorrow. So, the other thing I said, look, and I patted my pockets, and I sort of pulled out each pocket of my bag, because I took very little down with me, and I went downstairs and there was a female court security. I invited her to do a pat down. You know, I said, look, I'm giving permission for search. And they said, no. You have been ordered by the judge that you, people have...
you wouldn't answer the question.
Yeah, because the judge said, I've asked you to leave because you can't answer a simple question.
So that's a clear breach of your rights that they've all just done.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, but they're not worried about that because either I'm recording...
Or you're guilty of association because you know me.
And so they'll try and, sort of, they want to get hold of that. Or, or if you're not recording, well then there's no evidence of it, is there? Other than what was said in that, maybe in the courtroom, by the judge and the registrar. But then they probably make a point of using that somehow. That not being on record, because you see, if they hold record, then they can also control that record, can't they?
Exactly. They don't like anyone having record independent of the Ministry of Justice. Because we caught Diver last week on audio recording breaching our fucking rights, breaching her duty of trust, breaching her duty of statutory responsibilities.
So if you walk in there tomorrow, you'll likely immediately be trespassed. Well, they already tried intimidation today, didn't they? They do not want me sitting in a public courtroom.
They're scared of you. That's the only reason they're behaving like this, is because they're absolutely shit scared.
Well, I guess that's their job, is to find out who is knocking on the door and who, because it's like a pack of cards, house of cards. They don't want that house of cards collapsing. So anyone that's getting anywhere near the truth is a threat.
Yeah. And you often attend that courthouse just to watch court cases. For no reason, just to watch.
Oh, yeah. But I'm now, as you say, I'm guilty by association. So, according to the sergeant, people are saying that they suspect that you're recording. And so she was sort of shaking and saying, are you recording? Are you recording in that courtroom? And you could see she was livid.
Unbelievable.
I said, am I detained? And she said, no, but you won't be going back into that courtroom unless you tell me. And then of course she did end up changing it and then changed it back again. So then she changed it to, well, if you go back into that courtroom, I'll have to tell the judge, and the judge will have to, disrupt the entire case and all this. And then, of course, and then it changed again to, no, you will not be going back into that courtroom. You're free to walk away, but you will not be going into that courtroom.
That's unbelievable. So it's because they recognised you from being there last week with me on Friday as the witness.
Yep.
Because Divya was...
So now they're after my head.
How do you feel?
They would trespass you from the building.
Yeah, I've already had that threat. And he's told me unless I've got business, I have to comply. I thought, what balls on this? He can't touch Divya because she's a registered officer or judicial officer, and that's separate from the Ministry of Justice. So who holds them accountable? The JCC, they only have jurisdiction over judges. They're breaching their duty of trust.
Otherwise they don't even have to do the job. They don't have to do anything.
Right.
They could be just sitting around
the job. Drink all fucking power and do whatever they want to do.
They could just sit around smoking drugs all day.
Intimidation and force to make you all do as they say. You've just experienced that today.
Yeah, well, I guess there was a few people there, I guess, who observed, and maybe they're thinking I'm guilty of something, or maybe they're going, well, has he actually done anything wrong?
And you hadn't.
Yeah, but you see, that's
the beauty of it. It's all boundless.
But what they do, they surround you with people, and they threaten force.
Yeah, that's what happened with old Judge Black when I took my cameras in. I got surrounded.
Yeah.
And I caught it all on video too, which they didn't like.
Well, they're a gang, aren't they? Well, there's no order, is there? It doesn't even have a judge's name on those pieces of paper.
There's no provision on the signage either. So now Chris is going to go and update the signage to include audio recording. I thought, how fucking petty.
But even that sergeant who...
With you this morning?
Yeah, with me this morning. Even she could not keep her emotions in check. She was shaking. She was livid.
Because you were challenging her authority.
What authority? Over me.
I think I'm a catalyst for a lot of that, to be quite honest with you. Since I've started this shit, they've gone real hard nuts on it.
Well, that's it. I mean, I couldn't even be standing out on the footpath anymore today, could I? This class is,
I know, but they'll still try and do their little power crazy fucking...
I want to watch some traffic cases. I can't walk in there now, can I? I mean, I can, but each time I do, it's going to be...
And just demand that you're searched and file a formal complaint to somebody. carl.lewins@justice.govt.nz. That's the regional manager for Auckland. He handles all of them. So I would contact him.
Well, I was told
Discriminated against.
if I didn't leave the building, I would be taken into custody by force.
Mm-hmm.
And I was told you not...
Go and talk to your local MP as well, because there's nothing before the courts in relation to what's happened to you.
So I suppose there's an order.
No, what order? You've seen nothing.
What order? By whom? I don't even know his name, and the judge never even mentioned an order. He just said you've been asked to leave because you won't answer a simple question.
So what do you think you're going to do next?
Well, I don't know. I'll have to think about that. But I want to go in there and watch some. I guess if I go in there to watch some hearing.
If we both went in, it would be all hell would break loose.
Oh yeah, I'll just have to go and sit down to watch a hearing, and when
in shorts and a singlet.
I want to go in as a member of the public into a public gallery.
Mm. Perhaps a letter or something to the Chief District Court Judge explaining the situation.
Yeah, I see. I mean, gosh, if I was sort of being accused of something that I'm not allowed to do, am I even obligated to answer questions?
No, you're not. Section 23, rights of persons detained, and you were being detained, even
I'm being told,
what's the reasonable grounds for the restriction?
I'm asking you to leave. I said, is that an order? And he said, I've asked you to leave.
Yeah, there's a request or an order.
So then the heavies came around.
Unbelievable.
But this is why, even the cop, they're young and clueless. He's a cool guy and everything else, but he just sort of said, hey, I don't know, who suspects you. I don't know whether you're recording or not, but,
It's not that they can find out.
And I said, well, where's this order? And that's when the security pipes up and said, well, it's an oral order. And I said, well, I'd like to see this order in writing. And they said, well, there is no order in writing. It's his court, and he's ordered to leave. And I said, well, he only asked me to leave. He didn't order me.
Yeah, because you made a point of asking if it was one or the other.
Yeah.
He reiterated ask, which is a request.
So I just said, is that an order?
The asking is as king.
So, but they do know the manipulation. I mean, they have to be well versed in that.
Oh, of course.
Keep in mind, when you see people, even like the sergeant and all, and they get, you'd think the sergeant would have done enough training, even the force for long enough to be pretty in control of their emotions. But she didn't seem to be in control. She was livid. You need to tell me. I don't need to tell her anything. But again, I guess it's one form of, control and manipulation to ways to get power. But it did seem like she was genuinely not really in control of herself.
Mm.
So, yeah.
Absolutely gobsmacked.
Well, Mark, see, they know that you know, and they don't, so you're a threat.
So I reckon that they know that you're going to tell me, and they're trying to elicit an emotional response from me by doing what they've just done to you.
Yeah, I just think she saw me, knows that there's recording, either by you or by me, as, you know, by being there with you.
My phone was right there on the counter in front of her.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even have a recording device on me, and still, you know, people, it's not a person, but people. People are suspicious of you recording.
Yeah, that'll be Divya, the registry, the court security, all.
Yeah, that's right. The cop who told her, yeah.
And they're all scared.
But if you don't answer the question, then they will presume the worst. Like you had something to hide. So that's the thing. You can be as innocent as heck, but as soon as you don't answer their questions, they will presume.
It's the whole getting around refusing to answer a question versus giving a conditional acceptance instead. You know, are you recording? Oh, well, I'd be more than happy to answer that question if you can show me a valid claim that states that I am. And it puts the ball back in their court.
Yeah, well,
You can answer the question, well, have you got the valid claim? I've already told you my conditions to answer that question. Go and get me the valid claim and we'll talk. You know?
Yeah, because, see, most people wouldn't know that.
No.
And I thought that I had no obligation to answer their questions.
It sounds like it's the first time you've ever been in that situation. I'm guessing you would have been slightly rattled.
Yes, but you know what? But
I lay a bet the moment I show up in their doorstep, they're going to fucking trespass me.
I mean, even the sergeant, she probably still thought that I was recording because I wouldn't answer the question. But I wasn't free to go where the public are free to go. I was detained from that freedom.
Yeah, your freedom of movement was breached.
Yeah. I guess it's the old story. It's like those First Amendment audits in the States and things. Yeah. You know, if we cooperate with the state, then we have no power. So if we acquiesce?
Acquiesce, yeah. Silent acquiescence.
Acquiesce, and, you know, you have no rights.
If you don't speak up, you get trodden on. You know, what is it? Police abusing powers. He always has this phrase at the start of his videos. It's those who stand for nothing fall for everything.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's, you know, so they'll either get their gang around you, or they'll make threats. I guess it's the old story. They actually have to, they're making the threat, they're allowed to lie about using force, but they can't actually use the force.
Mm.
So
they would have no reasonable grounds to use force.
You know, because they have the people are suspicious, but they're not saying who the people are, so they keep, you know, you're not going to know.
I'd like to know the name of your accuser. Fuck it.
Yeah. But, oh yeah, no, once I walked in there, once I realised the registrar keeps sort of coming around the screen and staring at me, and then I realised, oh, I know, that's because it's her. And, I didn't realise the level she was going to go to at that point. She must have been busy typing away to security, you know, like, you know, someone in the courtroom who could make this house of cards collapse.
Mm.
You do sort of wonder, watch out for these people because they're recording or something.
Yeah, it's just, I can't believe what they're afraid of. It's supposed to be all public.
Well, as soon as they talk to you...
So all we're actually doing is calling their bluff on it being a public place and showing us it isn't.
Yeah, so what if they had 1,000 people in the public gallery? Where do they then draw the line at the public sort of having some sort of record of this?
Well, I often, you too, have seen barristers, solicitors, cops, members of the public all have their phones on in those courthouses.
Yeah, they're on Facebook and all sorts of...
Sitting out there in the waiting areas, everyone's got their phone on.
Yeah, like right smack in with the lights, with the bright screen of the cell phone and everything, and
Telling them to turn them off. So
No.
they're discriminating.
no, and then here I am just sort of sitting there.
And you don't even have a smartphone.
People are suspicious. What people? What suspicion?
Your suspicion is not a crime. See, you're getting the words suspicion and reasonable grounds mixed up.
Yeah. Yeah, and I was going to be taken into custody, so my freedom was going to be detained.
Due to suspicion? No, they must have reasonable grounds to detain you and ask you for a name. It's like you notice in that Court Securities Act that it states between sections 19 and 24, they list the actual specified offences that court securities have authority over.
And probably
Authority over someone recording in a public place. That isn't a specified offence that a court security has jurisdiction in.
because if anything, okay, so reasonable suspicion for detainment, fair enough, okay, but from there they would have to then get a judge's order in order to search.
Yep.
And they'd find I had nothing.
Exactly. And it would show them all up for being a bunch of paranoid fucking wankers.
And then of course they don't have to apologise because they've done it under a judge's order. The judge so believed that I was recording, why did he not order a search?
Exactly.
He could have ordered a search warrant for my person and property correspondence or otherwise.
hmm And then they would have been fucked because they found nothing.
Yeah, well, then at least said, no, I'm not recording. And they don't apologise, nothing, you know.
Well, they'd say, well, you were guilty by association because someone recorded us last time you were standing next to them.
Well, what's that got to do with me?
Nothing.
What's that got to do with my person?
Other than intimidating a witness that was present during a matter that I was dealing with.
They want
Literally, his witness intimidated you.
to, that's got nothing to do with me.
No. I'm fucking speechless. Oh.
Yes, but it was
Well, you've tested this for me. If I show up tomorrow,
he has to leave the court building.
what about the footpath? Yep, get off that too. Stand in
Well,
the... Get hit by them.
they only open the door and exit you out the door. They didn't exit you off the footpath in front of them.
On court property.
Yeah.
Oh, well. I would have whipped out my fucking camera and started recording the bastard. Just standing on the footpath, I wouldn't go in there for you.
There should be signage on the footpath, but there isn't. Hey.
No, there isn't, because it's unreasonable. And that's what public places, such as court things, any restriction must be reasonable. That's what Chris says in his email to me. So they don't have any reasonable grounds to restrict, especially when they are recording us.
I mean, what if the judge turned around?
Us for doing the same thing they're doing at the same time.
What if the judge turned around and said, are you menstruating? Again, I don't have to answer any.
Yeah, exactly.
It's got nothing to do with me. I'm just a member of the public in the public gallery.
Or just, yeah. It's one of those, you got to come back with a question, and you did, but they just didn't give a fuck.
Oh, yeah.
Up the ante until
Oh, yeah.
you
Because even the judge, you see, because you're not bowing and you're not answering, questions, it's, I've asked you a simple question, so I've asked you to leave the court.
And I'd be happy to answer that question if you can show me the obligation to do so.
Yeah, I did. I asked, am I obligated to answer that? And so I've asked you a simple question.
No, repeat, am I obligated to answer that? Am I obligated to do that request?
Yes. So anyway, I mean, for a first attempt, I thought I did...
That's all I can say. You fucking would have held, and you would have handled it better than most.
Yeah, and I had a group of them surrounding me. In the end, it was under my own volition that I left. They did...
You knew what the next step was.
Yeah, I mean, he reached out to take my elbow. If I hadn't have moved at that point, he probably would have. But, And I think they would have just escorted me off the building. I don't think they were going to take me into custody.
No, they would have just pushed you out the door. They've sworn allegiance to the Queen. They're supposed to be keeping the Queen's peace.
Well, yeah, the Bill of Rights applies to them.
Yes.
If I stand my ground, then they don't have the jurisdiction at that point.
No.
But again, without record, although once they start asking questions, then as a party to that communication,
You have every right to record. If I was standing next to you and not party to it, then I would be illegally recording you.
what if I gave you permission?
And that would be fine.
Yeah. Like I don't have an issue with it. It's not my privacy.
Yeah, exactly. I could also make myself a party to the matter by just simply interjecting.
I mean, I thought, oh, do I contact Mark and tell him anything? And I thought, well, the likelihood is he'll have recorded all this, and if he so wants, he'll put the whole lot on YouTube.
I wouldn't put that up unless you said so.
But I didn't want that, but I also didn't want you to go down to court tomorrow knowing, not knowing what has gone on, and knowing if you walk in there, you'll likely be threatened and trespassed.
Let it go. Load it, cock it, let it go. Load it, cock it, let it go. Load it, cock it, let it go.